Let's start the Templeton Community Services District Board of Directors meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, and this is 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Directors Fardonish,
Here.
Logan,
Here.
Mortensen,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
and Tyrone. Here.
This, let's go ahead and pledge allegiance, please. Please stand. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat. Okay, order of business, any board members would like to change the order of business? We only have one item, so I think we should move on from that. Public comment, any public comment? Members of public may address the board on any items of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, but not on the agenda. Any public members? No? Okay. We'll go ahead. Consent agenda, we have two items on the consent agenda. We have the minutes from the January 21st, 2025. And we have the budget amendment, there's the fire station design electrical part for $18,279. Do any board members have any questions or comments, or would like to pull those items, or?
Yes, because I was not at the meeting on January 21st, so I need to abstain from that, so I'll ask that the board vote on each item separately.
Okay, sounds good. Any other comments or questions on those items?
And I do want to pull the fire station.
You want to pull it?
I want to
Okay.
pull it because I want
Okay.
to have some discussion about it.
Okay, all right, so let's pull that, and then, so let's go ahead. If there's no questions or comments, can we get entertain a motion for consent agenda 6A for the minutes from January 21st?
I move that we approve the minutes of January 21st, 2025.
Right, do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Directors Peterson,
Yes.
Tyrone. Yes. Logan,
Abstain.
Mortensen.
Aye.
And Fardonish.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0 with one abstain due to absence. This next item is the budget for the fire station design electrical. Director Logan asked to pull that item, so go ahead, please.
Okay, so I just want to get some clarification. So the $18,000 that's being, is it 18,000 that's being budgeted in?
Yes.
So, and this is just for the cost difference for the design element?
Yeah, this is an increase in design costs, design and engineering costs related to 3 electrical related items. The 3 items are the addition of designing solar PV for the south facing portion of the roof for the of the existing at-bay to incorporate that into the design. 2, the HVAC system on the I think this may be my understanding is, and this differs a little bit from the fire chiefs who wrote the memo, is when the original analysis was done, if you may recall, this is 3 years ago-ish, that the current upstairs of the fire station was kind of left to be like future use, might be a conference room, a training room. It wasn't fully vetted. Well, now it's going to remain the sleeping quarters, have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and the HVAC units need to be replaced. That's a unit that you might remember the heater actually went out a couple years ago and we were running electric heat. We only temporarily repaired that because of the status that we were in. Maybe didn't want to invest 20 or 30 grand because it was potentially not going to be in use in the long term. So that's that component. The third component is it's listed here as reimbursable budget. That's really the cost of the architect supervising the work of the subs. And there's an additional cost that we just missed originally, and that is you have to pay PG&E when you do a expansion plan to engineer the electrical load from their equipment. And so we had to cut a check to PG&E for $3 grand for that. That's already been spent. It's not new or additional. It just was something that we didn't capture originally in the costs.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just wanted kind of
Cause I've been kind of removed from when the original plan and then the redesign, so I just wanted kind of a little brief update on that, so thank you. So, I'm okay.
Okay, all right. So I'll entertain a motion on that item then.
So I'll make a motion that the board approve the budget amendment in the amount of $18,279 to line item 21-70,000 capital outlay to fund the additional design work of the HVAC and replacement and solar panel design for the fire station expansion and remodel, including construction documents, project management, and plan check revisions.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. Dr. Mortensen?
I'll second.
Possible.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Mortensen,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Tyrone. Yes. And Pardonish.
Great, motion passes 5-0. All right, our business item is the IWMA Special Districts Representative Nomination.
Yes, just a little bit of background on this. We are one of about a dozen special districts that provide solid or have solid waste authority, which in this county, without exception, well, almost without exception, means that we hold the solid waste franchise agreement. Our franchise agreement happens to be with Waste Management. Together, the special districts have one seat on the IWMA, Integrated Waste Management Authority. That's an organization that was originally established in partnership with the county and the cities within the county, the 7 cities that are within the county. So the county presently has gone through several iterations, but the current iteration of the agreement is that the county has a seat on the board, each city has a seat on the board, and together, all the special districts have one representative on the board of IWMA. The current representative representing special districts is Robert Enns. He's from Cayuga Sanitary District. His seat is up for election or selection amongst the special districts. So you have an opportunity to nominate one of yourself, the board has an opportunity to nominate a board member to represent all of the special districts on the IWMA. If you do, and there are no other nominees, that board member will begin serving, and the term runs through December of 2028. If you do, and you do or you don't, but there are more than one nominee, then this will come before you to cast a ballot or a vote in favor of one of the nominees. So that's kind of where we stand. IWMA is essentially the arm of these jurisdictions in terms of coordinating, reporting, and compliance with all of the CalRecycle requirements. And solid waste is becoming a much more highly regulated industry than it had been, decades in the past. It's so the duties are increasing, the obligations are increasing over time.
Is that it? Okay, great, thank you. So are any board members interested?
What, do you know the frequency of how their meetings?
It's 8 times a year, and it's in
Oh.
San Luis Obispo. I
So like
believe,
Wednesday
During
at
the day?
1.
yes, during the day, 1 o'clock. So Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember.
think
Wednesday at 1:30.
When?
Typically the second
Okay,
Wednesday.
yes, but there was one Wednesday that was switched to Thursday, yeah.
No.
So yeah, so they
Yeah.
meet, so it's 8 times a year. So and as you know, the executive director of IWMA is retiring as well in April. So I thought it was important, if we can, to have a voice, because I personally don't hear from our current representative much, so I think it would be good to be involved. So if there's any board member available.
Have you ever heard from Robert Enns?
I have on probably 3 different topics. A couple of times when I've engaged him, I engaged him on our behalf when there was some talk about special districts gaining a seat. Remember for a little while that we were one draft had us having 2 seats. I engaged him then. I engaged him on behalf of, or at the request of Midstate Solid Waste maybe 7 years ago, when there were some concerns that Midstate had. And then I went to a meeting that he gave a talk on about 5 years ago, when IWMA was in the midst of some real challenges organizationally. They had faced some accusations of impropriety, embezzlement and those kinds of things. And so there was, he spoke to the general managers at, not necessarily my request, but the request of the group. But in general, we don't get like regular reports. If I hear something from IWMA, it comes from Peter.
Okay. And then what about, does Waste Management serve on IWMA?
They do not. One of the,
One, sir,
Well, to be part of this, because the
They-
IWMA is, my understanding is really the regulatory implementation.
they're part of the IWMA.
yeah, so they are, but in a different way. So it's not I don't mean to sound like it's criticism, but one of the things that IWMA does, they have a communication arm with the jurisdictions, like us, the governmental entities, and they have a separate communication arm with the haulers.
Haulers, okay.
And so it's a challenge. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but there isn't enough bleed over. And so I actually, Waste Management has, now wants to have like sort of like quarterly meetings with me, just to kind of update what's going on within some of the challenges that they face. So I'm in pretty regular communication with Waste Management, but not necessarily in coordination with them.
I'm curious as to what the meeting will be discussing.
It'd mostly be about regulations and what's coming down.
But then,
the
but you
pipe.
would think that that would involve the haulers, so that's why I'm kind of.
Well,
wondering
see,
why
we are
there's two different
ultimately,
haulers.
there's two, so that, yes, the haulers report directly to IWMA. The IWMA then gathers all that and pushes it all together and reports it as a single entity to Cal Recycle. So that's the real advantage to our participation is by being a member of IWMA, we report as one. And so the county-wide, compliance is what is reported, as opposed to, each individual jurisdiction. Even though all of our numbers feed that reporting, we're seen by Cal Recycle as one entity.
And again, because this is only one vote out of, for the 12
The
special
districts,
districts, so it's important, so. And again, with the executive director retiring, I thought it's important to, for us to stay involved. Because when was it, 4 or 5 years ago, it got pretty messy. It got really
Oh,
messy.
well, it got messy with the
Yeah,
county.
the county and
the county
everything,
pulled
so we never really got any report from that, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No.
any of the board members interested?
It's not like tag.
Yeah.
We got bad press from having a member on that here a number of years ago.
Oh, really? What was that?
Greg O'Sullivan and the
Oh.
paper bag.
Oh. Oh, okay, plastic
He
bag.
went against the board and voted yes for it, and the board wanted no.
Oh,
Kinds of fun.
okay, that's interesting.
Anyway,
Well, if none of the other board member, oh, go ahead.
I'm sure that they've got somebody running. I mean, that whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, is fixed, so. I mean,
Well, that's the
with
thing.
the
is that-
CSDA and,
Actually, I've been asked, like, if we have somebody, let's put them forward. I think that the other CSDA members would like to see at least some options. Come forward. I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong with what Robert Enns does, but Cayuga Sanitary isn't a very active member of CSDA. And so, because they're not an active member, we don't see anybody from that organization, including Robert,
Mhm.
at least very often.
Yeah.
Robert Enns. And I like, again, I
How
don't
long
want
has he
that.
been, the
Been a while.
representative?
I'm gonna say at least 6 years, maybe longer.
was there an election?
It was
Or-
done very informally at an
Okay.
annual meeting,
Yeah.
the same meeting you went to just.
and that
Yeah.
meeting was not.
It was not
You
done.
Raise your hand
Yeah.
and there was like 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, everybody say yay
All
or
around.
nay, yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
very formally acknowledged.
If I read this right, they have somebody on there that's an
Alternate.
alternate, is he gonna, do you?
His term is staggered, so his alternate seat runs through 2026, as I recall. And to my knowledge, he's never been called upon to serve, so he's an inactive alternate. It's, a little different. You probably are familiar with the way the alternates work on LAFCO is they all attend those meetings, so they're actively, they have an ongoing rapport. And so when they need to step up, they just step into the seat like they haven't missed a beat. The alternate is Daniel Burgess out of Heritage Ranch, and to my knowledge, he's not been a very active alternate. That's not a criticism, he hasn't been asked to serve. Because, there hasn't been necessarily a need for him to be representing special districts, but to my knowledge, he's not an active participant of the IWMA. Or actively attending meetings.
Well, Navid, are you?
Well, I mean, I do feel like it's important, so if none of the other board members are interested, I'm willing to,
I would have too many scheduling conflicts.
so I mean, I'm willing to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank
Next, what are we gonna nominate for next meeting?
So is there,
It's difficult to say, oh, yeah, I'd like to do this, because it's kind of one of those things where I don't know enough about the organization, other than I know that their role in the county is to see to the implementation of regulations.
Yeah. I can say, I think there's been a big turn at the organization with under Peter's leadership.
Yes.
They were a very quiet closet. That's not meant to sound critical, but I didn't get engaged. And I didn't hear much about what was going on until Brad Goodrow with Mid-State Solid Waste had some real criticisms, and then those turned out to be somewhat validated. There were some problems there that were well publicized. Then the organization's a big culture shift. They've changed most of the folks around. They've started hosting these events annually. They do like a solid waste day, and I've attended the last two, and Navid Fardash has attended the last two, and I've sent those invitations to those of you who were serving at the time, because a couple of you weren't here when they last held it. I want to say they were in maybe springtime. Does that sound right? Maybe April-ish. They've April, May-ish. They've held this sort of a training day, and it's quite interesting. Again, there's a lot of regulations coming down the way that affect solid waste, and while we don't feel it every day here, we could. Our county is in general a strong, we have sort of strong foundations in recycling and diversion, but over time, as California begins to tighten its grips and enforce these regulations, we'll probably be facing more enforcement activities. Right now, it's pretty minimal.
Well, I don't think, I think some of it has just been, let's educate, and it's a little passive, but,
And that's, hopefully it would be, like, I'm on there, to learn about it, bring that information to Templeton and see how what we need to do,
well,
because
it'd be
like,
nice to have some communication back, because
Yes.
I think,
It's, yeah.
there,
there
it's
has
been
to-
really kind of
Yeah.
silent.
Yes, I mean, basically, a lot of information that I got was just from news articles and things like that, and that's not, I don't think the way it should be, so. Yeah, that would be goal, and every time we go to those, seminars that they put on, it's like, really a lot of interesting information coming out, in terms of not only the equipment they use, also all the facilities in the county, what's working, what's not, and as well as the new regulations that's coming along and the mandates, and it's kind of good to know what to expect, because of the rates, the rates to our.
Well, it will. That's why
ratepayers kinda change,
That's why
so-
it just seems a little odd that they would have the haulers on one side,
Yeah.
and then the cities who are really the intermediaries, if you will, between the customer who's paying for the costs.
Well, one thing I will give, without, maybe I sounded too critical, the events, the annual event they host, it's haulers and community participants or jurisdictional
Yeah.
representation together, and waste management were some of the people giving some of the talks, and so was Waste Connections and the other major players in the area. Waste Management, Waste Connections are the two big players in our region. They both have landfills, they're both haulers, they're in the middle of all of this. And it's an I mean, you can spend as much time and energy as you want to. It's its own ballgame.
Okay, well, thank you, Nadine.
Okay. It's an action, so. Okay.
Is there consensus then?
It's
to-
like-
I
Okay,
think so.
do I need
Do we
to
need to make a
motion?
vote or make a motion?
No, I just have to note that there was consensus to nominate.
Okay. Alright, thank you, guys, appreciate it. Thank you. There's most likely gonna go to election and then see where it goes. You never.
You might be lucky.
Okay, we don't need to do strategic planning, doesn't need to be continued, we're done with that part, general manager's report.
You know, I didn't make any notes of items to bring to your attention today. I sent you out an update last Thursday. I was actually out of town, last week, although there was a lot of stuff going on here at work and it's been a little bit of chaos, at least at the federal government level. Trying to keep you apprised that we got some pretty big federal grants that I got nervous about for about half a second. But those looks like that was just, some little bit of chaotic information, not necessarily good information. I'm here this week, no plans to be going and get caught up. We are shooting for having the next strategic planning session being fire, absent any surprises. That'll move forward at your next workshop in 2 weeks from tonight. We are also tracking a number of other more significant agenda items for that meeting, the mid-year budget review, which we should be on track to bring to you. The water buffer model update through 2024. That is in draft form. I don't wanna alarm you, but we will not be making a recommendation that looks similar to last year's in terms of a huge release, based on the data. We're hoping to have the Fire and Emergency Services annual report at your next meeting, and then a very minor clarification on the master fee schedule, a non-material item.
So wait, are we saying that, the next strategy planning session is at our next, is that what you said?
Yes, and Tuesday,
At 5 o'clock.
On the 18th?
On the 18th, that's what we're tentatively shooting for. I
At
think
5
that date
o'clock?
still worked for everybody as of last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
I know I think March 18th is.
Next meeting is gonna be a lot longer.
Promise is promise.
Committee reports, any, I'm trying to think if any. Oh, you went to TAG. Oh, that was.
Yeah, that was-
That was on the last,
Yeah, that was the one before, yeah. So, okay.
there was, a couple of you did attend, it's not a committee report, a couple of you did attend the CSDA meeting.
Yes. Oh, that's actually, yeah. Oh, we had, well, I guess that was, all right. So nothing there, director's report, any director's report? Did you?
Yeah, so I had a meeting, I wanted to introduce myself, to Supervisor Pashon. So I sat down with him, last Saturday. He shared with me that he would like to appoint some Templeton residents to some of the open commission seats. They currently have open seats for the Bicycle Advisory Committee, 1 seat. 2 seats on the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and 1 seat open for the Water Resources Advisory Committee. And so it was his hope that we as a board could help circulate and send his aid any potential interested candidates.
For the water resource, I was taking off and.
We
you-
got confirmed today.
Oh, you got confirmed today?
Lori and I are
Okay,
the district.
so that's already taken.
Okay,
care of.
perfect.
And that's
No.
actually,
Oh, you're talking about the.
RAC.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
no, but she's.
She's saying Water Resource Advisory.
Committee. It's the same committee.
It's the same
There
thing.
there are multiple ways of serving on RAC. It's a very big committee.
Resident.
Yeah, so
Oh,
each
resident.
supervisor has a supervisor's appointee
Yeah.
and each jurisdiction has a appointee. So somebody from the community could also
Yeah.
serve on RAC.
So, yeah, so-
And I wouldn't wanna put that on anyone in the residence.
Oh, no.
That meeting is also on
I
Wednesdays
mean,
at
there's
1:30.
members at large on that committee, but principal. I'm not sure it's an effective group. It's more presentations that are being delivered. But personally, I think it's a waste of taxpayer resources in terms of county and city employees and special districts that attend that meeting. Because it's not a meeting that is looking for any kind of outcome. It's really, oh, we're gonna do a presentation and this person is gonna come and do the presentation. So it's really, in my opinion, not an effective meeting.
Okay.
For what it's worth.
Anything else?
Yeah, well, still a seat on the bicycle advisory committee and 2 seats on the commission status of women and girls.
Okay.
I can try to engage with the individuals on Friday afternoon down at the park.
Yeah,
They basically get together for bicycles. I know some of them are interested in the Vineyard corridor, which hopefully will happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And the other one is the connection between Templeton and Tascadero.
okay, yeah,
So they showed some interest in that. I can ask them.
okay, cool, yeah, thank you.
Is there anything we could do? Advertising, or like send a news flash or something?
If I send you the commission names.
Yeah, I'll see what we can, if there, when the deadline is or whatever.
And did you wanna talk about CSDA meeting? You want, no?
Who attended?
Oh, it's just, the
Yeah,
two of
just
us,
Okay.
Lori and as well as general manager. And the most interesting thing that I think was, the CAO of the county spoke, his name is Matt, what is his last name? I mean, he went through his basically resume and I thought it was very impressive and it seems like one of his main goal, he said that he's gonna try to rebalance the county. He's gonna bring some efficiency to the county departments as well as, and then he's got several committees that are looking into the different departments, different policies to just make the county more efficient, more I guess fiscally responsible, and he said we'll be probably seeing a lot of changes by July.
Yeah, he was talking a lot about how programs and things have become inflated past what the county can support, and so that the county is expecting pretty significant cuts.
And he had a lot of his background, quite a bit, it was on for fire and emergency services and things like that, so.
Oh,
It's interesting, so maybe down the road, you could talk to him about it. About our fire department and our options, I think, and maybe, hopefully. it could
Get more
slow down.
money?
Yeah,
I don't
think
think so.
It doesn't sound like it would. Okay, and I think any other comments, questions? Okay, I think that's it, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It's at 7:27. Perfect, thank you guys.
Thank you.